Hello Space Cadets and welcome to the Wooliverse. For today's episode, we will be exploring the ME-262 HG series. Now, just for a little background, the ME-262 is the world's first mass-produced jet-powered aircraft, and it served as a fighter and fighter-bomber for the Nazis during World War II. It was a supposed Wunderwaffe and was supposed to help win the war, even though obviously they lost. It served as a vital point in aircraft mechanics and is one of the biggest leaps forward in aircraft technology that has ever existed. Now, some of the future modifications of this included the HG series that never even came to be, but they were proposed, and this plane that I'm showing you right now is my version of the HG2, which was the previous picture of this. The HG2 was supposed to have a delta wing and was supposed to have an advanced tail. Now, a lot of these designs weren't set in stone, and if you go on any website to look up the ME-262 HG2, you'll see a lot of variations on the design. And that's because everybody's got a different take, but they all tend to be pretty similar. Now, this is just my design fault, but it is very, very heavy up front. And I am actually currently pressing down completely to go up in the sky. And it's just sinking down like this naturally. Now, if I did maintain the stick to go vertical, it would look like this. And once I get into higher altitudes, it's a lot easier to fly, but low altitude, it's a killer. Now, if you notice the two engines on it, those were not accurate to the period, and that's just because those are the parts I was able to work with. But to me, I think this is actually a very, very, very beautiful jet. But yeah, right here, this is the ME-262 HG10. Now, this is not an actual plane. It never existed, nor were there even plans for it. But this is my take on what would have happened if the Germans might have won or continued the war and had continued developing the HG series. It also has a delta wing design, but the engines are much larger. The plane is kind of larger, as with most jet planes over the past however long. And this is just my fault, but I forgot 2 landing gears on either jet. But as you can see, it is much more maneuverable. It's got the canard wing up front, and it's much more powerful. Surprisingly or unsurprisingly, though, it doesn't really go that much faster. I haven't worked out why. Maybe it's because of the extra weight, extra drag. I don't know. But regardless, it's tons more maneuverable. And that's because the weight is much more spread out, and so is the lift. This is much more of a future design and would have probably, in my mind, been implemented in the 1970s, 60s, 70s, if they had actually made it that far, which, as we know, they didn't. I'm going to try to land here, and because I only have 2 landing gears, it's probably not going to go well. But, this thing, it's purely a conceptual aircraft and was never, implemented. But insofar as a concept is concerned, this is my take on what could have happened. Well, except for that crash. Also, that is a very heroic wing that just flew about 200 meters away. This is my final design. This is if they had continued even further with the HG series. And this is the HG10 PAG frog. I call it the PAG because I took inspiration from the Panavia Tornado. And I also took inspiration from the MiG. The Panavia is a current German plane, or at least the Germans use that in their Air Force. And I also took inspiration from the MiG in terms of engine placement. And basically, this is a ton more maneuverable. It's it's a little bit faster, but it flies like a dream. It, if you notice, is a relatively modern-ish design, insofar as you can create in Kerbal Space Program, and is, of the 3 planes I presented, very, very maneuverable. I decided to put advanced canard wings, wingtips on the wingtips for the delta wings, and that has improved the stability and the maneuverability by a ton. It's likely about the same weight. I think it's a little bit heavier than the previous incarnation of the HG10, but it still works. Just for slightly higher altitude, I put an air intake on the tail extension, but that's likely not needed. This is a very fast plane, and likely because I can't land anything, this is just gonna kind of go poorly. But yeah, this is, with the exception of the HG2, those were my concepts as to what could have been if the Nazis had continued their Wunderwaffe program, if they had actually been able to win. I will be continuing my Wunderwaffe series, likely with a V2, but if you guys have any suggestions as to what you might want to see, sans maybe a helicopter or two, just put it in the comments, and I would love to make it for you. I hope I did an okay job with these. Again, these are my concepts. If you think that I'm completely off center or off kilter when it comes to these ideas as to what could have happened, tell me, or make your own. I want to see a video, I love seeing what other people can do. Okay, and well, I guess I'm out. Have a great night, guys, and well, if it's daytime, have a great day. See you later.